Waiters, have you ever had to call the cops on your table? I was working the dinner shift at this family restaurant when this middle-aged guy came in with a little girl, maybe 7 years old. Nothing seemed off at first. He ordered for both of them. She got chicken nuggets. He got a burger. Pretty normal, but something felt wrong about their interaction. The girl barely spoke, just stared at her food like she was afraid to eat it. When she did talk, it was in whispers, and she kept glancing around the restaurant like she was looking for someone. The man kept checking his phone every few minutes and watching the parking lot through the window. I noticed he never once smiled at her or asked how her food was. Most parents are constantly wiping faces, cutting food, making conversation. This guy just ate in silence while she pushed nuggets around her plate. About halfway through their meal, the girl asked to use the bathroom. The guy immediately stood up, his chair scraping loudly. "I'll take you," he said firmly, but she shook her head quickly. "I can go by myself." His jaw tightened and his voice dropped. "No, you can't. We stay together, remember? That's the rule." The girl's shoulders slumped like she'd heard this before. That's when I noticed she was wearing clothes that didn't fit right. Her shoes were too big, making her walk funny. Her shirt was wrinkled like it had been slept in for days. Most kids that age are messy, but this felt different. Everything about her screamed uncomfortable. I approached their table to refill drinks and heard part of their conversation. "When are we going to see mommy?" she whispered, voice barely audible. The man's voice got sharp and threatening. "Stop asking about that. We talked about this in the car. Mommy is busy." The girl's eyes filled with tears. "But you said we were just going to the store to buy milk. That was yesterday morning." My blood went cold. This wasn't a father-daughter dinner. Something was very wrong here. I walked back to the kitchen and told my manager Sarah what I'd overheard. She came out to observe their table discreetly. The man was now on his phone, speaking in hushed tones. We caught fragments of his conversation. "No, she's being good, and we'll be there by midnight, and don't worry, nobody suspects anything." Meanwhile, the girl had barely touched her food. She kept looking toward the front door every time someone walked in, like she was desperately hoping to see someone specific. When a police car drove past the window during routine patrol, she perked up and started waving frantically, but the man quickly grabbed her hand and yanked it down hard. "Don't do that again," he hissed. "Remember what I told you about strangers?" But his tone wasn't protective. It was threatening. That's when Sarah made the call. We told the police dispatcher we had a possible situation that needed immediate checking. Within 10 minutes, 2 officers walked in casually, like they were just grabbing coffee after their shift. They approached the table and the man immediately got defensive, his whole body tensing up. "Is there a problem, officers?" The first cop smiled calmly. "Just doing some routine checks in the area. Can we see some ID?" The man fumbled for his wallet while the girl looked between the officers with this hopeful, desperate expression. When they asked her name, she started to answer, but the man cut her off quickly. "Her name is Katie. She's my daughter. We're just traveling through." But the girl shook her head vigorously. "My name is Emma," she said quietly but clearly. "And this isn't my daddy. I don't know where my real daddy is." Everything unraveled from there. The man started stammering different explanations, claiming to be her stepfather, then her uncle, then a family friend helping out. His story kept changing every few seconds. The officers immediately separated them and called for backup. Turns out, Emma had been missing for 3 days. Her mom had reported her taken by her estranged ex-boyfriend, who wasn't even related to Emma. He'd convinced her they were going on a fun trip to surprise mommy, then kept driving toward another state where he planned to disappear. The girl had been asking restaurant staff all along their route to call her mom, but he'd always intervened before anyone took her seriously. We were the first place where someone actually listened and took action instead of assuming everything was normal. Emma was reunited with her mother that same night. The man was arrested and charged with kidnapping and child endangerment. The detective told us our call probably saved Emma from being taken completely out of state, where finding her would have been nearly impossible.